Fisher Falcons coming off the reverse sweep against their previous opponent in what was a fun match against Oklahoma Christian. St. Clair coming from a 3-0 against Newberry College. Now we have ourselves a first qualification match to get one of these two teams to land to continue their season forward and fight for a continuous CCL championship in the 2025 season. I'm Corn, with me Dandro. It is going to be a fun one here between Fisher and St. Clair. Last time these two teams faced off, it was a 1-1 standstill. They were on the Fisher side, though, without Darkside, so that is the conversational piece that we need to go into it. That is the storyline. Can St. Clair beat a full-force Fisher roster?
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about these two teams coming on in. I was sitting here kind of watching, alongside, getting prepared for this, and to see Fisher come back in that reverse sweep was a little bit insane. And what has me worried here, Corn, is that when you're getting ready to go up against this St. Clair roster, it's been 3-0s to the entire bracket for St. Clair. Maybe haven't had a lot of that sort of test of willpower, test of strength. Fisher, they're coming off a hot, nice reverse sweep. It feels like all guns are firing. It wasn't just in that reverse sweep, like they managed to squeeze it out. A couple of those were just absolute slams that were coming on in, right? So to me, it feels like Fisher definitely warmed up, and their number 5 seed coming on in, going against the number 1 seed. Has me a little bit worried if you are the St. Clair Saints. Hopefully you're doing a great job of being able to respect your opponent coming into the series.
Yeah, I think for Fisher, I don't think I was necessarily shocked that they came back. It was a relatively nice display of efforts from them, but I feel like those first two maps, even Colin and I, when we were on the desk, we were just kind of sitting there, especially when we went to break, and we were like, dude, this feels weird. And then when we came back from break, we were kind of like, okay, hey, they're not going to go quietly into the night. We were absolutely correct with that. They came out and they stomped on that Hacienda control, go throughout the rest of the series, and really never look back. It wasn't all that much close between the two teams, I'm going to be completely honest, but our top two ranks in terms of the top 25, both of them perfect throughout the regular season. For St. Clair, throughout most of the entirety of the playoffs, regional and CCL playoffs that have been this weekend included, very much almost perfect. They had a few losses in there, of course, mainly to that Fisher roster, but again, they won 1-1 against them in both the series that they played, so you can't be too necessarily upset about that if you are the St. Clair roster. But again, that is what I kind of pointed out at the very beginning. They were without Darkside. We saw how big of an impact he had in particular against Oklahoma Christian in the previous best of 5 series. Very much out of the gates, I expect him to be a problem on the St. Clair roster.
No, it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how does this matchup go on through, especially with obviously Darkside being added back on in. But we have some maps and modes that I think are very interesting that I want to kind of get your opinion on, Corn, because I feel like we've been seeing a lot of like the standard stuff, but as we kind of look through here, kicking it off with a red card hardpoint, very interesting to come on in and start that. But then we move into a dealership search and destroy, where I yet again still feel like nobody knows what they're doing on this map yet. It's just going to be like, I don't know, who wins the one, have fun, and then who can convert off of that. It's the only thing I've seen coming out of this map so far.
Yeah, I mean, Dealership is a map where everything is going to be very much played through the middle of the map. So there's a lot of things that do come down to kind of, being able to hit those timings and making sure that you just kind of lock things down there so an early flank doesn't come through. But it's very aggressive to the bomb sites. But we'll put a pin in that, wait until we get there for that S&D. Talking about the red card specifically, let's talk St. Clair here first. St. Clair, this is a map where I feel like you have Rupert and you have Seawads who have very big opportunities to have big moments in this game. I was talking to Colin before this started, you were as well. We were all just kind of like, talking about the series as it was coming up. He was the one that kind of was like, yeah, I'm really expecting that, so shout out to him. But I agree in that sentiment where these two have an opportunity to have this as kind of their best map against a Fisher roster. This should be where they have the ability to perform the best, but also provide the most in terms of overall things. And again, this is really a Challengers Elite matchup, obviously not two full teams playing up against each other, but the St. Clair roster is the entire Cabal roster, so they've played not only in the CCL together, but they're getting actual reps as a team together in Challengers as well.
You gotta imagine that teamwork will come out huge here on the red card. As everybody knows, P1, it's basically just scrap fest as you get ready to head on over to the P2. But halfway through that P2, what we're going to be looking at is what team can flip the map for those P3. It's the P2 to P3 that we are going to be keeping our eyes on. And hot off the start here, it's already Fisher putting 4 dead in the P.
Darkside on the outside looking in. Still players surrounding from St. Clair. You got a 2-2 hit on either side, but the middle of the map by Fisher has been locked down. Aggressive there. Onto Cody, trying to use the movement to get away, but Dylan Rex will suffice for himself on 2 straight, now making it 3 as he snaps back around. It's a 3-1 trade that allows Fisher to stand still on top of lives.
Yeah, you see off some of the spawns there, it's Brack and Dylan Rex who kind of make this read to go a little bit wide out towards the car, try to manipulate some of those spawns and maintain the hold. And it looks like it kind of worked for the most part. You force St. Clair to push on out through this other side. You get some early time onto P2, but St. Clair, they just push on forward, rip you on down. They're going to get some of this early time.
Yeah, this is the side you want to be fighting from as well. You're going to see those long lines of sight that Fisher are going to try and push from. You can use your ARs that have cover over from P4 as well as the 2 inside of the point to really hold this push back. So if you can keep the spawn trap here, continue to keep these lives draining of Fisher, St. Clair are going to get some good time off of it. You look back around though, things have started to flip around. A break-in from Phantoms as he's able to swap over to the pistol. Will stay alive in the corner. He has reinforcements to help from the outside.
Yeah, Cootie and KB doing a great job of basically working that together, but Brack opens it up with a great 2-piece. You love to see that, but KB has managed to kind of sneak on through here. We'll get fouled on out from Brack, but you're still right now, if you are Fisher Esports, you're not super worried about a lot of this timing right now because you've managed to flip the spawns. You're holding this down for P3. You're cutting down some of the St. Clair Saints on rotation. C-Wads needed to win that one. Dylan Rex will stop that push from happening, but spawn's getting a little bit wonky here. St. Clair, they're going to get some of these close sides on through. They could bang this out from the front, start taking some of that time, but this is about to be a 3v3 brawl on top of the point.
Yeah, I was hoping C-Wads was going to be able to walk away with that gunfight as he was pushing across the map, but that does allow players to still be here. Problem is they are just getting suffocated by Fisher with the close spawns in the backside. So now that you've turned your attention back out to the middle map, that's where the bodies start to push up a bit too far, and it allows St. Clair to get a spawn in the back. Problem with that, though, again, is that this is the power position. This is the favorite spot you want to be in for Fisher. So now as they turn back around, they are consistently taking these gunfights against the Saints. And as the Griffins continue to try and push their efforts towards the hill, they're just getting thwarted at every push.
Yeah, I love that they're able to root out C-Wads there. And for right now, you called it out. You hold in this favorable position. You win all the gunfights. It's going to let you hold on a lot of this time. 77 points on the board right now. As this P3 will go ahead and tick on down. We get ready to move on over to the stage. And, well, Darkside, he's able to find C-Wads on the rotation. You'll get cut down, but I think you've done the work here. And I'm looking at Brack, who's in the back. Unfortunately, Rupert will be able to make that read. Takes on down. It's basically going to be a 4v2 on the point here as your teammates are spawning on up in the back.
A lot of things had to go right there. I thought that was going to be the wrong play from St. Clair to try and push that extension over to the P3 side to play the scrap time, but when they won the gunfights, it allowed them to have full mid-map control. They got the top side by Globe, and that allowed C-Wads to actually push the point and take the 1v1 against Brack to get the timing out of it. Now it's going to be a surrounding push from Fisher yet again as they start to collapse it through, but it's Cootie with a submachine gun in hand that will push the objective forward. The agenda is complete for St. Clair. They pretty much shut everything down from Fisher.
Yeah, huge 2-piece from Cootie to really help St. Clair maintain this point. Fisher trying to do their best to get on any contest. Brack on the top side, he's able to do that. Thankfully, you got Dylan Rex on the other side who's going to be able to use some of that aggression, put it on back, and you're going to see them give up all of this scrap time and push on forward. Dylan Rex making this read that the St. Clair Saints, they want to hold this bar side. And, well, Dylan Rex, you got your sight set on over here. Phantoms is scoped on up. It might be a little bit tough, but I'm also looking at KB in the back here, who might be able to find some timings.
Fisher have just done such a good job of being able to get across the map early. Incredible credits due to St. Clair. The breaks have been pretty consistent across the board, negating a lot of the time that Fisher have tried to get to themselves. But the problem is that there's just so many bodies across the map every time in the initial time that, you know, St. Clair's always fighting for the back maybe 30 seconds. So, yeah, you'll get in here. Still going to be scrappy. Still going to be contest heavy as Fisher pushes back. But inside of C-Wads for the ticket booth, you push him back for a moment, stall it out. This is good time for the Saints to get.
Love to see them hold on through, and KB just wants to maybe find anybody trying to flip on out for this P1. The rest of the team, they're going to stay on time. They're going to make sure that you really soak this one on up. You want to keep this close as you are about to even this one on up. Dylan Rex, you get caught YYing on the top side escalator. Not a great look there as Fisher. They're going to kind of spawn out here as St. Clair off the backside, trying to be able to get into a position. You do find Darkside. Dylan Rex gets cut down. Brack is found. And you find the player top stage. No, Phantoms will stay alive for the moment.
Oh my, wow. Pixel peek onto Rupert. So as he falls inside a middle map, that'll actually allow the time to sit gray for a moment. Nobody pops in until Fisher's able to scramble their efforts back into it. Still have Cootie playing the stage. Looking for KB. Trade in from Brack as he slides through. It's 3 for 1 that allows the Saints to once again stay on top of the life count. They've got full space in middle map, and Seawatch will be able to lay down. Everybody on Fisher right now, push to that left side of the map. This is giving a lot of space for St. Clair to really set up what they want to do for P2.
Dylan Rex having a fantastic map right now, 19 and 13. Absolutely helping in that slaying department, making sure that you're not going to be able to make any movements on these maps for free. But just like that, blink of an eye, you are going to see St. Clair, they push on through the back. They make their way onto P2. Fisher, they do manage to have the better side spawn for now, but definitely St. Clair, they're going to be set on up. And for the first time in this map, we'll be able to gain the lead.
Yeah.
So, great job from them being able to have that happen.
Slow start for the Saints. Starting to navigate their way back around what Fisher has thrown at them so far here on red card. A lot of time spread out between a lot of bodies. Same cannot be said for Fisher on the opposite side with bracket 121. Really, everybody just trying to pick and prod their way for a bit of time here and there. KB will slide back in to help out with the rest of the team, cover the time. He's still got bodies over by the stage side looking to collapse with him, but as Rudy falls, it's free for Brack, and all of a sudden things turn back around as Darkside breaks in.
Yes, this is one of those moments that you can have the best setup possible, but you're probably not making the realization that Brack is about to try and rip open a three-piece on your squad. Watching the setup fall to pieces for St. Clair. And right now, Brack yet again will back on up. He has at least finds Siwas before Cootie is there for the trade. But already, we're seeing some of that early aggression kind of come back to bite Fisher. St. Clair, they're already here, making their way towards this P3. Nobody from Fisher really nearby. Well, besides one player, and you do actually get the spawn in the back. You win a huge one if you're Phantoms. You're not going to be able to kind of fight for this a little bit more. Number 7, Dylan Rex has the opportunity. We'll be able to bring down Rooper, and just like that, Fisher get a little bit blessed with a spawn, and this will be an opportunity for them to get on into the point.
Yeah, dude, I was wondering where Phantoms was, because like I saw his arrow just kind of like creeping around. I wasn't sure if he was like above them or just trying to play like the lower contestant spot, but he was just on the staircase and waited, and that just pulled enough bodies to spawn close for Fisher and allow them to get close. But again, P4 is so scrappy, you're not going to get a lot of significant time off of it. And all St. Clair are still here. Dylan will be able to slide in. Darkside's there with the SMG, and that's somebody who we again talked as, you know, hoping to have a decent game with an SMG on red card. It can be difficult to get yourself going, and well, you kind of see that right now. But he's got some good time. He's starting to push himself towards the hill a bit more, and that's what I wanted to see out of him. And really, the rest of Fisher, it just can't be the Brack party hopping all the hill time.
No, I totally agree. You can't just rely on Dylan Rex and Brack here to try and kind of will your way to a win. Fisher was looking great on that first rotation. Second rotation, though, St. Clair, they clean up a lot of their mistakes, it feels like. They really make it mixy. They don't allow Fisher an opportunity to really come on in. As well, Darkside, okay. You managed to find Seawads. You rip KB off the point. That'll make this point sit a little bit neutral for the time being, but you do get cut on down. Trying to convert onto that is KB through the mid. You find one. You're going to read some of these spawns from the top planners. You, however, won't be able to answer on back, but it's going to be fine for now as Rooper has made their way to the bottom of the stage. Can you root him out?
Brack slide, no contestation. Enough for Rooper in the bottom. Hard gunfight to take. And we saw Fisher set up on P5 last time. They had all 4 bodies rotated to that south-left side of the map. Now it's very much in the hands of St. Clair to be able to win some of these gunfights. They've got the favorable positions over on the top side of the bleachers. Now as Brack looks to make his challenge forward, Seawatts has a huge 1v inside a ticket. That's going to clear some space out, but KB's there for a trade. Maybe finds 2 for it, and absolutely does.
A little bit windy there, but it doesn't matter because KB, it's good for 3, but Brack is going to answer on back with 2 of his own. Keeping this one nice and mixy. You can see Brack on this little bit of an angle right now. Does he make this read? He does. Thankfully, Pistol comes out at the right moment, able to make it happen, but the teammates will be able to find those trades. So Fisher a little bit on the back foot right now. St. Clair, they're feeling great about this positioning. Maybe you don't worry so much about this time getting ticked away. You are setting yourself nice for this potential last and final rotation.
Text through middle, gonna weaken the push out through ticket. Darkside will stun it, once again furthering the distance between St. Clair and Fisher on the point, but Seawatts from the opposite side spawn will be able to pick up 2, and this is gonna allow the last 5 seconds to go the way of the St. Clair Saints. I was gonna say this after the P1 rotation, but I guess we'll just kind of throw it in here while we have some downtime on the map. And that's one of those hills that you are very okay with contesting towards the back of the time. That's gonna give you a route into ticket and allow you to kind of diverge the map on either side of where you want to set up. It doesn't work out for him this time, albeit, yes, but it's one of those hills where it is very easy to get mid-map presence once you clear out P5.
And I was about to say, I love what Fisher is doing here. They make this read, though, on that last rotation. St. Clair, they really played a lot on the outside stage area. So you see them kind of trying to be able to bring down that first player, maybe to hold some of these spawns, kind of force those spawns a lot deeper onto the St. Clair Saints. But the Saints just come off spawn and absolutely shred everybody from Fisher. So they're going to be able to make their way onto this P1. Fisher, they're managing to get a lot of time here. It's looking pretty solid. But I don't know if that's enough, because St. Clair, you've crossed the 200-point threshold. You play pretty good across these next 2 points. You easily could steal out this map number 1.
Well, the problem is the game clock's also bled down to 35 seconds. So if any more time bleeds here off the clock, you're going to be very quickly looking at Fisher trying to just scramble back, and any contention time is going to be favorable for the St. Clair Saints. Dylan will drop down into the point. Fisher here first. Good snap in from Rex. 33 form complementing the opposition of 35 from Seawads. Hill still going the way of Fisher. White in the kill feed, looking for the players coming off spawn. This is the trap that they wanted.
I like this. Dylan trying to just throw those shoulders, get any sort of info for the team. That'll let Darkside be able to push on up through the middle. Brack, he's able to find one as well. Darkside hops onto the point. A nice little hold this on the nade. Stuns come on through. Darkside with a huge passage of play to let you hold a lot of this time. If you are Fisher, the St. Clair Saints feeling some of this pressure as Fisher looks to come online. But oh my God, it's 3 dead. And well, you get the Hellstorm onto Dylan Rex just for fun.
Oh, if you're Fisher now, this is the problem. You don't recognize that Cootie's hitting up the middle map, and you're lucky to walk away with him if you are Phantoms. But you have to play this firmly in a full hold on P3 while the deficit's still about 30 points. And with that time, at 18 seconds now, nobody's going to be on this point for at least another 3 to 5. And you're going to get the close spawns if you're St. Clair. God. This is almost an unwinnable position from the Fisher side. They have to win every gunfight here through the front and hold all the time.
KB getting blessed. Go buy a lottery ticket after this one, young man. We'll be able to at least find one on the outside. We'll get rooted on out. There's some trades going on through. Last final 5 seconds. You got to get on the point, though. Fisher, they're managing to do it. Seawads is here. You're seeing some of that time tick on through. Fisher, they're trying to do it. KB along the stairs. Can you make it happen? You can. St. Clair Saints, they come on out. Might not be the 250 they wanted, but it's at least a 227 to 194. They play the end of that beautifully.
It's all time management. It's all it is at the end of a red card. Most of the times you play it, especially at the top level, where these two teams are very much within the challenger spheres at that top level. You know it's going to be a bang out. There's only 2 options on red cards. It's either going to be a close game all the way through, or one team just getting smoked off the map. This one was close through and through. Fisher at the end, they had a good P2 hold, just couldn't transition it close enough to P3, and with St. Clair spawning across the map because of the route that was made through the south side through P5, they get the numbers on the technical halfway side of the map, so they get the closer spawns into the backside of P3 underneath the garage. So there's really nothing that you can take away from Fisher in that game and say that it was really a negative performance. I wouldn't say. I think there were a few performances that I would like to see be a bit better. I think Phantoms had a slow start and really never got it going. Darkside towards the end really did tee up, but on the opposite side, you had Seawads, who was frying, almost drops himself 40 kills, gets stuck right at 39, but over 4k damage for 2 players on that St. Clair roster. Fisher on the other end come off the back of it, down 30 points, albeit it came closer towards the end. There really wasn't much of a contestation, knowing that that game clock was so slow, and that's why at the end of P1 I was like, I just don't think Fisher have enough here with about 35 seconds on the clock. We know how scrappy these next few points are going to be, and that's exactly what happened. So 1-0 lead here for the St. Clair Saints on a map that we felt was going to be their best opportunity in the early goings of this series with that red card hardpoint.
Yeah, it was that second P3 to P4 that I was really kind of curious about. You could say that's where they get like basically 45 points back on the board. It just seems like they get that lead and do a great job, like you mentioned. It's just clock management from there on out. They understand they have this lead. They realize as long as we can just make sure that we don't even just allow Fisher to not get points, but really just keep them off the point is a huge thing. So while they don't manage to march towards that 250, they do the important thing, which is just not allow Fisher the opportunity to get back on into the game. Pretty stagnant from there on out on that graph. So really interesting to see that, but I love that you bring it up. St. Clair, this was the map that they really needed to win in this series. We all knew that this probably was maybe going the distance, at least to map number 4. And well, we're getting ready to head on into a dealership search and destroy. We kind of talked about a little bit about it before, but I think this is still going to be a very interesting map to see here, to see who's really has the reps, who understands how do you want to play this map. We see a lot of movement through that middle, but we also see a lot of pre-nades I have seen on the challenger side coming on in as well. So when we're kind of looking at these two teams, we've talked about it. This is basically like a challengers elite matchup that we're no surprise seeing. So I wouldn't be too kind of keen to see, maybe a lot of these players have some experience on dealership already.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of regardless of what you're going to be playing, if it's in the pool, you're not going to hard veto most maps at this stage of the year.
Yeah.
Especially when you are trying to maybe find a map that plays a bit better for you, and look no further than St. Clair for what they continuously have put forth. You have Cootie on an SMG role, who has been a star-studded player realistically since like Modern Warfare 2. I think back to that small roster and that collective that they had on that team. He had fantastic stuff. I was watching him when he was still an under 18er down in Florida at AFD lands. Like, he's been an exciting player to watch since he's been still a very young gentleman and individual. So it's been cool seeing that journey forward. But regardless of the journey, you're going up against Darkside. This is going to be that's the tail of this map right here. If you're not having the ARs dominate one of the two lanes, which there's really not a lot of positioning to be able to do that unless you get top window control over middle map, it's going to be between probably Cootie and Darkside to be able to find that early engagement on the map round after round. And whoever is going to come out on top of that, I feel is going to take this series. Not the series, but this map at least.
No, I think that's a really good shout out, right? I mean, we know that dealership, it's a little bit slithery, as I like to call it, right? You got a lot of these like little random cuts that you can hang on out. There's like that weird like drop grate area on the one side of the map that like you have to always check it, because it reminds me a little bit of like Arsenal Black Ops 4, right? Where it's like you can always just have somebody lurking on in there, and if you're not going to make that read, it can really come back to bite you. So I think the SMGs are really going to have a good time here running amok. Who is going to be able to kind of hit those routes, hit those timings to really kind of open it on up? Dealership's a map that I found that there's a lot of first bloods that go on very, very quickly, just because of some of these angles that you can hold, or even some of those pre-nades like I mentioned. So I mean, it's really going to kind of come on down who's making some of these reads, who's able to surge on forward. And I'd love to see kind of how are these ARs going to also back up these SMGs as they get ready to run around the map. That's there too. A lot of opportunity right now for the SMGs to get super annoying, but then for the ARs to be able to back them up and get that trade.
I mean, this is a map you're going to see, realistically speaking, you're probably going to see 3 SMGs on either side, and there's possibilities that we even see a 4th one come out if the AR doesn't find early utility, because really the only spots that you have to play the AR on the map, you think of like, okay, you think of maybe the mid lane, just being able to take that initial gunfight if you're trying to chow it out. You think maybe the backside of the A lane if you're trying to play that A side early on the offense, and the only other spot really if you're playing from like offense is making sure a flank doesn't come through and you're playing the AR back by the actual dealership side of the map with all the cars there. Those are really the only points of contention that you have for an AR to truly make an impact on the map, especially in a search and destroy setting. Don't be surprised if you see 3, maybe even 4 SMGs out on the map any given round, especially if it's a fast attacking round over to like the B side or something like that.
No, great stuff that I think we're going to be really looking forward to see, who's going to be able to have those plans, have those strats on those breakoffs, who's going to really be able to surge on forward. I do think if you are Fisher Esports, though, you are probably pretty cool, calm, and collected right now. You just had the reverse sweep against a really strong OKC team. You're now coming into this. You know that this is probably going the distance. You know you're about to be tested, and you have a little bit of a buff on your hand, right? You say, yo, even if we drop this map, we still got it. We just reverse sweeped. We can do it again, baby. Why not? Granted, St. Clair is a lot different team than OKC coming on through, but either way, I feel like they want to come on out. They would love to take this map, even up the series into a 1-1, and then have us kind of looking towards that map number 3, of course, being a vault control. So if you manage to win this search and destroy of your Fisher, you got that vault control to look on forward to, and we know how mixy that map gets as well. It's a really kind of opportunity right now. This feels like it's a momentum map as you get ready to come on through, right? St. Clair, they take this. They know they have the potential to 3-0 Fisher, keep this 3-0 streak they have, keep it mixy on the vault control, manage to take it away. Fisher, you win this dealership to destroy, you end it on up, you go on into that vault control, your guns are hot, you're going to be feeling good, because when we kind of look at the rest of this map set here, Corn, it is basically mixed city.
Yeah, it is. And like this plays directly to the strengths of St. Clair, as we said through and through. Like that hard point in map 1, yes, you allow, CWAS to play that AR positioning, and he drops almost 40 kills. That's awesome, right? And Fisher do survive in the chaos. You're like, Brack, although he's a phenomenal AR, he can pull out the SMG at any time and be able to back up both Darksides and Phantoms. You look to Rex, awesome AR. Once again, probably, arguably top 2 ARs inside of Challengers. but they can do whatever they want to on the map, and they can pull out an SMG when they need to. And if Brack needs to do that, hey, guess what? He's going to do it, and he's going to fry with it, unless he's playing Protocol against Oklahoma Christian in map 2 where he dropped a donut. That being said, Phantom's looking for the first 2 challenges forward. You got Cootie looking to push his way up. He knows that one's around the corner, but just going to throw his shoulder, keep his life in tow. 4v4 still as the A side executes on time.
That ain't right. Bomb going down today. Okay, door gets open. Brack here, Jackal in hand. He's good for 1. KB, though, answers on the back. Will even this on up into the 3v3. Cootie loses a huge fight, but it's just pinstripe kill feed all the way. Be in the favor of Fisher. They're now into the 2v1. KB and a dream right now as time is ticking.
KB just chilling, was waiting for somebody to push to the P5 doorway. Now gonna wrap all the way back, spots out dark side. Hard gunfight to take. He knows he's gonna have a second challenge coming from Brack here in just a moment. If the gun was ready, he might have been able to snap for Brack using the head glitch to perfection. After the first blood came through, really, there was just no answer. It was just a full-on bombshell on the A side.
Yeah, really interesting kind of strats coming out there from both teams. I think we saw from Fisher, it was they almost looked like they wanted to split into this 2-2 and said, no, let's actually go into like more of like a 3-1. St. Clair, they kind of flirt around with one site all the way wrap on back, and they're actually the team that kind of on defense tries to make something happen. They open up that door and there's just a player laying in wait. It's a little bit tough, and then from there it's just a flurry of blows and inevitably ends up into the Fisher kind of limelight there. 2v1. Gonna be hard to come on back if you are KB in that scenario.
Deep nades, middle map, clear target for St. Clair of where they want to make this offensive push. You can see what Fisher are doing. 1 and 2 jiggle peaks. Brack and Darkside SMGs just waiting over on B for anybody to push to the P through building. Now Cootie will wrap through to spawn, make sure there's not a plane coming through. In through middle map, Brack tagged up, but so is KB. Dylan Rex might get aggressive, but he's got Rupert looking directly over him. Good cross and a double chow from St. Clair gives them a 4-3 advantage.
A little bit of patience there will come out on top for St. Clair until the man of the hour, who we were really looking forward to come online. It was going to be a problem in this search and destroy. Darkside able just to kind of find his one, get away with his life, and Brack here. I like this. You line it on up as a team, and well, at the end of the day, Fisher, they're laying in wait. St. Clair yet again get a little bit too aggressive, and Fisher, they make them pay for it.
I don't even know if it was the fact that they got too aggressive. They were just trying to execute on a site that Fisher read out perfectly. There was nobody over on the A site. Phantoms played through middle map, didn't realize that anybody was there, said, okay, hey, well, if they're not on A and they're not a middle map, they're probably trying to execute back through their spawn to B. They just played the outside. Everybody was together. They thought they were going to be able to win the trade battle with the body stack there. It was just quite literally a 2-2 split, and then Phantoms took a 1v at the end, and that's all she wrote.
Fisher, they're looking good on this dealership map. Trophies get invested early. That'll stop some of these pre-needs coming on through as Darkside finds a huge 2. Brack finds one more. Yet again, blink of an eye. It's now going to be a 1v1. We're barely into the round right now. Rupert versus Darkside. You get some of those early shots, but Darkside yet again just running away. I love how much he is playing his life.
You see how much ground he was able to cover in the short amount of time that he tucked tail and ran it all the way back on the opposite side of the map of the dealership. Wants to make sure Rupert's not making the play to just fully wrap back on a chase. I think given about another 5-10 seconds, he'll probably understand, hey, that's not going to happen. Yeah, he's going to wrap into middle map, grab the bomb. And now it's a decision he has to make, right? Do you go out to B? Do you direct challenge where the player's coming from in Rupert? Or do you go back out over to A? He has no information. He has no tax or util to be able to find anything on it. Rupert still has a nade. He has the ability to check that without peeking.
You're getting down to the final moments here. If you are Darkside, you have the time not on your side, and well, you think that maybe Rupert made the play, and you're just basically jumping out the window, hoping for maybe some sort of 50-50, but Rupert, stalwart in the defenses here, gets on down Darkside. Really weird round, honestly. It's just somehow 15 seconds in, we get into the 1v1, and it's just cool. Nobody has any info, and you are just playing off pure blind luck at that point, it feels like.
I mean, back of his mind, he's going, dude, there's no way Rupert's still playing out by red, right? There's no way he still has the AR just playing the same spot he was in the round. And that's exactly where he played through the entire time. So both players stubborn where they wanted to attack from. You're going to see this time, though, St. Clair very much want that A zone. Will it be a fast flank hit through for Fisher? Will they kind of just keel off for a moment and allow it to come back to them? It's going to be a 2-2 hit from wherever they're coming from. 2 to the spawn side. Bomb goes down.
Brack has an opportunity though to slide on out here, maybe catch a little bit of a timing. Bomb will go down. Phantoms and Dylan Rex are playing on this backside here. You have this AR battle, Heady v Heady, going on in. Side though will be able to slide on out, takes down the trophy, but unfortunately KB is cutting down the rest of your team. Well, you're just trying to take down a trophy, and well, blink of an eye, it's now just Dylan Rex in the 1v4. Not gonna be able to make anything happen. And St. Clair Saints, they answer on back 2 rounds in a row, tie it on up. Maybe making some of those mid-round adjustments we love to see some of our squads do.
Well, this is the hard part of taking full mid space, right? Because when you let that A site up, albeit, you know, it's not the hardest site in the world to retake, when you have all 4 bodies stacked there and you're watching the pinch play that's coming through on a flank opportunity, then it just has to basically be a full hit through, and maybe you come, like send 1 body through the vent or through the garage to catch a timing on somebody. That's about all you can do. And Fisher, they had nothing there. They had 2 through the back, and that was the setup, and then the other 2 through middle map just had nowhere to go because St. Clair was set up for it. They're going to give up the A site this time. They got 3 stacked over on B. It looks like 2 are just going to fly directly into that P2 building. They might be able to catch a timing on the flank. No trophy to stop that. Wow. Rupert, great shots over the top as well.
And I like exactly that. You find the one on a Phantoms, and it's just a backup. You get all the information you need. You have an RCXD. I might be able to give you a little bit more information, but the rest of Fisher gonna back on up. Okay. Okay. Well,
Dylan got stuck, and he just accepted his fate. And in a 2v2, Rupert pushes his way forward. Brack backs all the way off. The flank that came through from Darkside shut down. Oh, I thought for a moment, Rupert, the shots were shaky. Dropped to the floor, good enough for a 5 spree. Why are we not letting him defuse? I guess they want the RC more than the Hellstorm. No, that's fair. I get it. They want the RC more than the Hellstorm. Blow up the cars. Why not?
Yeah, sure.
No, let the nade shot.
I guess, yeah, I guess I would do that. I still think on principle, you get the Hellstorm. Either way, though, huge round from Rupert. Slides on out, gets that first initial. And I think that was really, really solid. I feel like it's one of those moments where if we had like a win probability graph actively going, you're going to see it just skyrocket through. The second he's able to find that first one, backs on up, rest of the team comes on through, and just the fact that he's able to push on in and they win that 2v2, it's a series of 1s, goes in their favor, looking really good. So St. Clair, 3 rounds in a row to give them a lead for the first time here in this map. Would love to make this 4-2 and really start applying the pressure onto Fisher.
And I don't know if they expect Darkside. I thought he was going to push it for a moment. And maybe he does get aggressive on the flank. I don't know if they expected him to fully chow that through, though, after he gets weakened up. You've got a contestant player of Brack playing all the way deep. Trophy system going to go down. Shots on Rupert were very nice. About 4 to his head. 1 more, he probably would have been gone. Still 4-4, even lives. 50 seconds left in this bomb, very much. Still trying to play on A.
I like this, Phantoms. A little bit of a jump spot. We'll let you know. Are they actively on bomb? Have they moved on over yet? But KB finds his way behind the car. Trophy system invested. Slides on forward. Brack and Dylan Rex cut on down. And Cootie finds Darkside in the mid. That's just going to leave Phantoms all alone here on the backside. St. Clair, they know you're here. Bomb will start going on down. And you're just throwing shoulders, trying to get any sort of damage in. It's going to be a tall task for Phantoms right now. Currently on that breadstick. I know it's lunchtime, but come on, buddy.
What you got, Big Timmy? Nothing. KB, long shots, good. And what was a initial chow where he had to just kind of like pop up and find one. That second player, he had to chase immediately after. That was probably one of the best advised chows I've seen in a minute. Normally it's like, that was a bit over aggressive. Don't necessarily love that. But when you get those first shots on, he tucks tail and goes back. You're just taking as much space as you can to the spawn side to not allow that re-challenge to come through for a more advantageous spotting from Fisher. So what was a 2-0 lead from Fisher very quickly has been 4 straight rounds from the Saints. A griff diff through the last 4, if you will. And now back to offense for this Fisher Falcons roster. What is the game plan?
I think, yeah, you definitely have to do something different because what you've been doing hasn't worked. It's going to be a 2-2 split here, but you have to make something happen. Some early shots coming out from Dylan Rex will hopefully back him on up. And off of that, St. Clair, they kind of back on up, and I like this. They just poise themselves around this middle. They're not hard committing to A. They're not hard committing to B. they're ready for any of these pushes. You finally see some of these members from Fisher College make their way over towards B, but it's KB. He's going to be able to sit here, throw a little bit of a shoulder, get some info, and hopefully the rest of the team can come on over. He might be able to still have an opportunity to at least line up for 2.
That could have gotten very, very scary with that stun check there. Blowing up the grenade in the window. I thought for sure a body from St. Clair was going to drop. First blood to KB, striking first of the Saints, wrapping back, and now Phantoms has to be wary of an RC car coming through as C-Watts pushes the objective and forward, and the line has been pushed all the way back to where Dylan Rex now has to take a gunfight against 4 different players on St. Clair. It's been 5 straight rounds, and now match point for the Griffins.
A little scary right now. I mean, I'm looking at 11-4, 9-3. Some of these players are having their way on St. Clair. Just some reads coming on through, strong reads, but it's not only just like being able to make the read of what Fisher is doing. It just feels like Fisher can't buy a gunfight right now, Corn. Like, they're taking these fights and they're hoping they win them, but it's just never falling their way. It's always kind of dropping down to where it's only kind of one player versus the world. So I mean, your back is against the wall. You have to start it here, but I don't know, man. St. Clair, they're looking very good right now on this dealership.
They got nades directly through middle map. They've got bodies weakened up. C-Watts wants to push forward. The pre-fire shots were good. It was just enough on a weak Brack to walk away with a gunfight. And again, blood after blood St. Clair have had for these last 6 rounds. And now this is all on dark side. He has to find at least 2. Can't even find 1. KB snap with the AR. Phantoms, good luck, buddy. Directly below the window. Nade weakens him up. He's pushed all the way back to P5. This bomb will go down. 1v4. Yeah, good luck, bud.
Yeah, good luck. KB already knows exactly where you are. Everybody is just full flying at you. Oh, I thought you might actually pull the 2-piece for a quick second. But hey, St. Clair kind of took him a little bit 2 rounds, but Fisher, they open up the map, man. It puts us into a 2-0, and then St. Clair, they say, okay, we get an idea of what you're doing. 6 rounds straight to take map number 2. I don't think any of us would have really had this on our cards, man. I mean, this was Fisher's map. You got a lot of S&D maps in the pool, and you decide to put dealership map number 2. You get a little slammed on it. I'm looking at KB, 13-4. Rupert also having a great map with a 9-3. Just both of them coming online, absolutely take over.
All right. Well, you know, I said that we would probably see 3 SMGs, and for the most part, we did on St. Clair. The problem is that AR presence from KB was phenomenal. 13 for him. And you look at the rest here, 6-2. I mean, that's just, yeah, it's a griff diff across the board. Yeah. 2 first bloods throughout the entirety of that S&D in 8 rounds for Fisher. One of which they lost, one of which they won, where they did not get the first round. So at least, you know, good for them. But this is very similar to what we saw after 2 maps in the previous series with Fisher. This St. Clair roster looks a little bit different, though. There were moments where I saw Oklahoma Christian, and I was like, I don't think we should have been able to get away with that. And for St. Clair on the opposite end, it never felt like I was like, that shouldn't have happened. It was like, dude, they are kind of Peace and Fisher right now, and I'm kind of getting nervous for the Falcons. But again, I'm never going to count them out of a series because that would be, well, at least in my eyes, idiocy.
I think it's a good call out, right? I mean, we just watched them literally reverse sweep a very good team. While we're coming in here, though, I do agree that last series, Oklahoma, I totally was watching it where I'm like, that's an interesting play. This time, though, St. Clair, they are looking phenomenal across these first 2 maps, man. I mean, 6-2 in that S&D on the map that Fisher picks. Not looking great. And even if they lose this next control, dude, it is just mixed city for at least these next 2 maps. And for right now, St. Clair, they're winning so many of the gunfights.
Vault Control, map 3, 2-0 lead for the St. Clair Saints. Again, folks, if you are wondering, this is the qualification match to secure a spot in the LAN. If St. Clair is able to win map 3 here, guess what? They will be moving on to LAN as the first team that is secured. Fisher will drop to the lower bracket, but Fisher, still plenty of time to make a comeback here. Vault Control coming up next, but before we go to break, once again, we want to remind you folks to head over to scuff.co/collegecod and dominate the competition with the brand new Valor Pro. Scuff, the exclusive controller partner of College COD. All right, down 0-2, Fisher Esports against another opponent. And where did we see this story once before? Oh, it was against Oklahoma Christian just a series ago inside of the winners quarterfinals. So will we have another reverse sweep in store? Will St. Clair be too much to tame here on this Vault Control? Well, that's the question we're looking to answer as we get ready to get into things here. Deandra, you and I talked a lot during the break about, how we kind of foresaw things going inside of this Vault Control. And there were kind of like two different things that we talked about. One, Fisher, this is a map they're very comfortable on. You allow Dylan and Brack to be able to set up in the ARs. That allows, Darkseid and Rex, Phantoms just to go crazy with the SMGs around the map. Two, again, of the best ARs inside of Challengers. Opposite side, St. Clair have been playing with a pace that has not been easy for Fisher to overcome. And even with Darkseid coming into this roster, the question was, how well will St. Clair match up against them, opposed to bull cut mapping on the roster the last time that they played? Answer so far, pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's been really phenomenal. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of this sort of St. Clair Saints roster, is that they're also a team that we get to watch outside of the CCL, right? And every time I've seen this St. Clair Saints roster play Vault Control, dude, Rupert Skywalker is living up to his name, because he is just absolutely using the force to sort of walk over kids left and right. So I think we're going to have some really strong matchups, but I love that you bring it up. I think it's going to come down to the SMGs at the end of the day. So I'll have to see how this works. Okay, we got a little bit of a, maybe a little bit of a hiccup.
All right, well, we'll see how that goes. I don't think it'll be long before we get back into that. Just a little pause on, I believe, the observer feed. I don't know if it was from the feed or if it was from in-game. We'll get it done. We'll get it sorted out. I guess that allows us to talk a little bit more about what we were actually, talking about before, with the actual differences in play style between the teams. But for St. Clair specifically, I think there's been a couple things I wanted to say too, but there's more than two that I've seen from them so far. The hard point, one of the things that was very fun for me was the ability to read and understand the map of where they wanted to position themselves. Yes. I think the best case scenario that I saw of that was on the P3 to P4 rotation within the first set. I was calling it almost a misstep for a moment, but then I realized that what they were doing was they were just making sure they cleared out the P3 to allow them that quick rotation to top mid, get globe control, and then that was going to force spawn them deep into P2. What that allows them to do is that allows them to take those ARs, set up at range, get into P4, and win those initial fights, and that netted them a lot of time. That actually allowed them to start that comeback and the spark that allowed them to get back into the game that Fisher had otherwise dominated through the first three hardpoints, and even the first rotation, if we want to be candid with ourselves. Second thing that they did really, really well was the double chows. For whatever reason, they made the SMG presence on a red card actually feel monumentally important to where Fisher didn't have an answer for it. Whether it was playing the top side of the staircase in P3, or whether it was just pushing around through middle map and playing ticket, there was no answer that Fisher had for them until Darkseid turned it up late, and still it just wasn't enough. Love to see that in the S&D, more of the same.
No, it's a lot of those intangibles that we love talking about in Call of Duty, right? So the ability to have those sort of mid-map adjustments, right? And I feel like what we've seen is St. Clair, they've been a lot better at reading what Fisher is trying to do and make those mid-map adjustments as a team for a lot of the things you just said in the hard point. But also in that search and destroy we just watched, it was Fisher up 2-0, but then St. Clair, they just started making some of these reads that were really, really strong. And it just really felt like they had a really good idea of how Fisher wanted to play that dealership S&D. They come on back at 6 rounds straight to give them the map win, right? So when we talk about a map like Vault Control, it is where the team that can kind of make some of those mid-round adjustments will come out on top, right? Because we know some of the power positions that you're trying to hold. It's either on one side on trophy or top art on the other, right? That's a huge power position there. And on the other side, it's basically just being able to kind of make your way through mid, right? Can you take cat control? Can you be able to fry them out of the point? A lot of trades coming on through, and I just feel like St. Clair right now, the guns are hot. They've proven that they're able to make those mid-map adjustments, and that has me a little bit worried, especially when we know that they are just naturally a good team on Vault Control as well. So Fisher, they definitely have a lot kind of set up against them, but I think when we look at the caliber of players that are on Fisher, it's not going to be any surprise to see them come out shooting, come out hot, be able to win some of those trades, and hopefully take this map 3.
Yeah, we'll have to see in just a moment. I believe right now we are waiting for the OBS to get back in the lobby, so just kind of give you guys an update. I don't believe we're going to send it to a break real quick. So we're just going to keep yapping here until we get our OBS back in. But yeah, Fisher right now, I believe, has 2 ticks on the offense. In terms of what that means for the round count, don't even start to ask me. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that means that the defense probably won that round unless it was all the way down on lives. So we'll use our deductive skills and probably say that St. Clair right now is looking at a 1-0 lead with a 2-tick advantage for Fisher on their offense.
Well, that's a great way to start it. Obviously, I believe that probably means that they were on obviously means they were on defense. So win first defensive round win that's there. Would love to see them come back on the offense. I feel like if St. Clair can come back and take this offense, I mean, obviously you're up 2-0 in the map. So yes, it's a lot of pressure, but it's just kind of, that's like almost like you got the foot on the throat and you're looking to say, hey, we just took an offense. We won that first defense. Good luck, Fisher. Have fun. Yeah. Because, man, we are about to try and close this out in another 3-0. And I think that'd be what was most impressive to me is that St. Clair through this entire bracket, it's been 3-0 after 3-0. You and I said at the top of the show, we were like, all right, they might be going against finally an opponent that will really test them. Have they been tested so far? And it looks like, well, maybe they haven't.
Yeah. Just to give confirmation to you as well as the rest of the people watching, yes, it was St. Clair who were able to take the first round of the control. So while our OBS gets back in there, realistically speaking, I think there's only one thing to do at this point. You know what that is? And that is enjoy the gameplay in front of us. Ha, get baited. You thought we were going to a break. We're back in the game. 1-0 St. Clair on the board up against Fisher. This time it's the Fisher side on the defense, looking to get something moving.
Moving around. We'll get those things at the top swapped here. Do not worry. Dark side. Sliding on out. Making a little bit here difficult. It's KB on that outer edge. Okay, thank you. Oh my god, I was getting a little
yeah, colors are flipping. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll get there. It's no worries. Quads playing through the middle, will get cut down, flying out of the top cat control, but KB is there for some trades coming on through. I like this from Cootie. Get that information. The two are sliding out from this statue side. Brack just gonna kind of surge on forward, clear out some of this point already.
See, one's a good push up. 2-length advantage here for the Fisher side of things on the defense. Felt like there was a slight opportunity for St. Clair to push in the middle map, maybe get some positioning for it, start to get that A zone started. Well, at least as I said that, they absolutely do. So now here it goes. 2 players stacked on it. You got Cootie sitting inside of you, waiting for the push through, and Darkside's going top cat.
Oh, that team nade though onto Wads from KB, but Brack back with their own TK. Okay, interesting passage of play there, but KB loses a huge gunfight against Dylan Rex. Nothing here. You got 20 seconds left on the board. Dylan will hopefully clear out the rest of the second point here on the offense for St. Clair. And well, unless St. Clair can manage to get out of their spawn and get onto the point, this actually will be advantage to Fisher, getting ready to move on over to this next round.
Wait a second. Phantom doesn't finish his food, and that allows Cootie for 2 inside of the point. Wait just a moment. 3 bodies stacked on it. Now up to top cat. They've got the second tick. They even what Fisher had on their first offense. Still going forward. Extra 60 seconds added. What are we doing?
Okay. This is why I hate vault control. I make this beautiful point about what's going to happen, and then St. Clair just say, hold my beer. Have fun. Cooper. Dancing around here on the cut. Can you manage to bring down Dylan? Just the shots. He spent so much time on that fight. And if you are Fisher, you're set up beautifully here. Trying to hold this one on in, but St. Clair, you can win some gunfights right now. You can make this easy for you, but it's 8 plays 10 right now. You got a couple players falling on in. 30 seconds on the board here. You at least go up in the ticks. You might not win the round, but at least you do the important part. And is at least be up here.
Cootie, shots at range, has Darkside looking for a challenge, pistol out, hard gunfight to take. Regardless, Darkside wins it. 6 versus 9. 2 players, body stacked on the zone. 17 seconds now, stopped at 16 as Seawans will lay down in the comfort of the vault heady. Turns back around and gets the read on the Darkside. Now with another challenge coming through, wall-bang shots were good and he gets the left side shoulder, but it's the car that explodes. 5 versus 4. It's the side of Fisher who are now playing on the back end as the St. Clair Saints have gotten onto the point.
Only 2 players left, though, from the Saints. And Cootie playing alongside this cut. Wads gets a huge one. You slide on forward. You don't have the time to really dance around this, though. Contestant coming on through. If you are Cootie, though, you're slipping, you're sliding, you're making it happen, but it's just not enough. I know this says St. Clair Saints win, but it is going to be Fisher taking that round. High us on up here, 1-1 in the round count.
More importantly than anything else, though, besides Fisher being able to take that defense they desperately needed to keep themselves at least an even pace with St. Clair through this control, is that 4 ticks are now to the St. Clair side. So defense looking good for them, at least for the first 2 rounds. Once again, 1-1 here inside of the control. Had to end it after the first round. Overlay fixed back up the top perfectly for you, just in time. So here we go. Back to another offense here. Timmy Phantoms and the boys of Fisher looking to get back inside of A. 2 up through you, 1-1 split to the opposite sides of the map. First ones to touch will be the side of Fisher Esports. First tick of progress going to get locked in.
And I'm just trying to play along this outside. A little bit of COD timing there as Rupert slides on forward. And a great job right now from St. Clair to mostly there. Finally, they will clear off a lot of Fisher from this 8-point. 1 tick has been secured, though. Darkside playing alongside this mid cut makes a great weed off of the back of that grenade. A huge kill here. Do you find one more? You do. Darkside, a little bit of a takeover moment here. You're going to pull 2 members onto this outside, and you almost absolutely line up for 2 more, but that's going to be great info. But 8-point will get secured off the back of that. A great timing right now. You surge on forward. You got to root this player out in your backside.
And that they do. C1s will fall. Rupert will join him. And now Cootie is pushed all the way up to P2, and they have no clue that this player is pushing all the way on the flank side. Dylan might know something's up. With the player stacked on this B zone, the first tick of progress looking to go ahead and follow through. Pushing up with an SMG from the back line here. It's not the most advantageous option that you have in front of you, unless your name is Cootie, who snaps for 2. Into Vault, chases him away, weakens up the 3rd, but now it's Brack who retaliates. 21 v 16, Fisher in firm control as they push up the map.
Dylan was watching that, it on the backside, and it just doesn't see him, so it turns around, makes their way back to the point. They try and get the stack. It allows Cootie to activate off the top of that. Absolutely insane timing to make that happen. That'll be an opportunity for St. Clair. They'll be able to kind of hold on up here. Manage to sit on this backside as Fisher still trying to break on through the front, but the rest of your team is just getting deleted left and right. No opportunity for you to really come online and gain some positioning. Well, you are close here. You still have a minute on the board. A lot of time to work with. You are up in the life count, so you could still bring this back.
I was going to say, with how much time is left, this is probably going to come down to the lives here at the end. Have to look at the flank that was being made through the backside of spawn. They clear it out. The Phantoms is dealt with. Now you have to look on the opposite side of your Fisher to your spawn, because C-Wads is pushed all the way up in your top side gold. Dark side making a round in through the bottom side of Vault. 3 players looking around, being a full spread. They're trying to find C-Wads, but he is just a thorn in the backside of this Falcons roster. Dude, what are we doing? Why are we team killing every single round?
I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Darkside has been able to make their way onto the point. Slow progress here is the only one. Trying to get cut on down. The lives have evened up a little bit more here, which is very, very important. We get down to the final 30 seconds right now.
He's doing it again.
Yeah, and again, here goes C-Wise, but it's a little bit of a read. Darkside, I think, yeah, says, hey, you're not getting a top gold yet again. You are not going to be able to run amok. But my problem here, though, Corn, is that you make this read, you go up, you have 4 people near the point, and just nothing comes of it.
The nade doesn't connect, and now Rupert was forced to lay down. He's still got 2 ticks on it. 6 versus 5. Life count there. 18 seconds. Body. C-Wads comes from behind. Hits 2, and it allows Cootie to re-rep the flank. So with 15 seconds left in the round now, you have half a tick of progress stopping you from the B zone. 3 lives on the Fisher Esports roster as they now push up the map. 1 round of separation. Still here. An opportunity to still push the map up. With 3 seconds left, you just have to sprint your way forward. You'll touch on it for a moment, but Cootie's in the vault laying in wait. Fisher Esports fall down 2-1 up. St. Clair to an offense, potentially for the series.
Potentially for the series. St. Clair do a great job there. I think of just kind of, like you mentioned, setting up for some of those flanks, just allowing their players to have an opportunity just to find the timings to bring them on down. Fisher, I liked it. You had players on the point. You were stacked. It was great, but yet again, it's just a little bit, a couple of those. You're letting some of these players of St. Clair just find the gaps. And you're getting 2 and 3 pieced for it. You just can't let that happen. You have to make that read. We saw that on the second time C-Waz was trying to grab themselves over there towards gold. Yes, sure, you make that kill, but then again, just nothing really happens off the back of it. I would like to see a little bit more proactive nature come on out there.
Cootie will lay down with KB pushed all the way through. They do not hit directly through you, and this is going to allow St. Clair to get some much needed progress on this first zone. Both teams will lose a life early on here. It's a trade onto KB, and now another 2 players that come through. Cootie will lay down inside of middle map, and now it's a 4 wipe. So if you're St. Clair, now you're back to the offensive spawn. And the spawn trap is starting to form here as Phantom pushes his way forward. You got a dark side over on the poop too.
Phantom does get red though. Rooper finds a great opening, but it's just 2 answered on back. Make that 3. KB is going to be the only one to stay alive. Finds a great one. So you might be able to pull some of these players on back, allow your team to get off of the spawn, and it would have been a huge win for KB. Not going to let that happen. Rooper still has to kind of wait here in the back, but for right now, it is just pure slaying prowess for Fisher Esports. 26 plays 19. We're getting down to the last final 40 seconds. You only have 1 tick on A if you are. 1 player has been able to get to B, so it's going to force you to move around. This could be the opening that the St. Clair Saints are looking for.
You turn heads, you dip off of it, you think, all right, we're going to go back to A now, and then all of a sudden, it's 2 players who are going to be on B. You're looking for the chase in the vault. Nobody's there yet. So as C1 is trying to watch the backside of Cootie, you don't recognize that Brack is going to be outside of the P1 building. Now as you slide all the way to the P3 street, you're trying to play around the palms. 2 gunfights go the way of St. Clair, and now it's 3. All of a sudden, round turns back around. You got 2 bodies stacked on the point, and the third one now pushing his way forward out to the bottom side of Art. Oh my god, how do you survive the onslaught of explosions there? All of a sudden, it's 2 ticks of progress that are gone, but it might not be the full zone. C1's forced to back up with 2 HP on 4 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, you got to sort of commit if you are St. Clair right now. You're doing a great job of finding some of this progress. But at least the 2 ticks on B would mean if they can manage to secure this A, it's going to be really tough for Fisher to try and stop this. They are down 3 lives, but I don't think that super matters right now. Wow. On the point. Dark side. Jackal PDW from Top Cat rips Rooper off, but you're still managing to get the rest of this tick. You get another minute on the board, and you only need 1 more to secure your spot at LAN. And Wad's doing a great job. Wants to help the team the best way possible.
Got one involved, push out, KB cut down. Phantom still here. Rooper falls as well. So the push that you had starting to formulate for the side of St. Clair, will, at least for the moment, be tucked down. 2 got the best timing in the world. All of a sudden, wait a second. Cootie's in the back line. He's going to be on the top side of Art. But is he going to get recognized? Will he get read out by player 5? That's the question. But C-Watts has done the damage with Rooper trying to push onto the zone. A well-placed nade from Brack shuts it down. 45 seconds, but here's the thing. They're on the zone. You've got 1 player stacked on it. Dylan now pushing his way back forward. Rooper on the back end side. 2 bodies still here, but it's a push through middle map that might shut it down.
You got to play this together if you are Fisher. Dylan Rex doing a great job. You find Wads at water. No opportunity here. It's 7 lives remaining for the side of St. Clair. You managed to bring this life lead a little bit back in more into your favor. But Fisher Esports, they've managed to cut you down through the mid. This is going to be a little bit of a last-ditch effort right now as Rooper slowly but surely pushing on forward. Yeah, Hellstorm coming on through.
You got the call out the 2 are in vault, though. So that should have been clearance to maybe try and challenge the vault. Instead, they just try to play it straight up. But now a middle map, C-Wads wins 1. Dylan knows that he's going to be pushing directly into the vault here in just a moment. But it's Rooper who finds a second. Now it's gunfights being won, but it's the double trade on the back end side. Now KB pushing, looking for top arc control. He wins the 1v, has another there, but can't touch in time. Fisher staying alive. 2-2, round 5. And I believe that's going to put St. Clair on the defense.
Yeah, a lot of work there from St. Clair. I mean, the fact that they get 2 ticks on B very early on and then manage to go back to A to secure it, I thought that was going to basically be the nail in the coffin, right? That's like a very odd setup to be able to make that happen. It was like, wow, this is going to create so much pressure for Fisher. But Fisher, ice in the veins. They realize the spots they need to play. This B zone is hard for a reason, right? There's no real opportunity to get on it. It's like if you manage to cut down those sides from P4, you manage to watch Statue, and you manage to hold Street Side, there's just no opportunity for St. Clair to really move forward. I mean, a little bit of a blunder there potentially from St. Clair, but I also think that's just Fisher doing absolute work.
1 round for St. Clair to win. If you win this defense, you're guaranteed to go to LAN. Fisher don't want to get 0-3'd here. They're trying to extend the series to at least a map 4 Skyline, but we'll have to wait and see. 30 lives, V30 lives, 15 seconds ticked off the clock, drop down inside of P1 for Fisher as they're starting to gain progress on that first tick on A. C-Watts just throwing shoulders, will finally get cut down by Dylan. He's on 6 in a row, potentially looking for a Hellstorm of his own, but he gets cut down from Rooper as he makes the challenge up through middle. Hop from the vault. Cootie for 1. Shoulders somehow stays alive, still dancing. It's a Maraska inside of middle map, but finally shot down.
Shut on down as Dylan Rex tries to make their way through. C-Wads lands a nade right on top of Darkside. And yet again, it's another team kill for Fisher with those nades. You gotta be a little bit more careful, I think, here, boys. KB will be able to finally rip down Phantoms, and we start to see a little bit of this spawn trap come on through, as yet again, just more members of Fisher getting taken on out. St. Clair doing a great job on this defense of playing their life, but also making sure that Fisher has no opportunity to gain any of this map control.
Brack is on the prowl for something, but C1s and KB have other plans. Finally, you break it up, but it's 4 that were down, and now you have to just push somewhere to try and give your team a little bit of something. Brack on A. Cootie close by, laying down, escapes into the doorway, out to the P3 cut. First tick of progress, locked in. Still 19 seconds left in the round here to work with. 15 lives for the Fisher Falcons to keep throwing at this St. Clair defense. CWAS opens it up. KB will trade. Dylan Rex for a double. Back up top, he snaps again.
Dylan Rex goes huge. That's the 3-piece you want, and I like this. You get it. You start flying on forward. You want to try and cut them down off the spawn. Really just kind of hold this on through. Unfortunately, you will get found on out. A will get secured, so a little bit of a lifeline for Fisher Esports right now. Brack with a great 2-piece. This could be what you need, but it's KB on the top. Cuts you on down. One in through the middle. You don't manage to find the kill on the dark side, but it still lets the rest of the team know where you are looking to sit. But right now, Fisher, they had all the momentum, but it gets pulled in the moment.
Brack just needed to lay down when he was out of vault there. He had done the job. He had got the 2-piece that they needed to push up on the site. Get his teammates close. The only one was top art, and they could have absolutely taken care of it. But now, all of a sudden, kills coming through. The Fisher side of things starting to progress this B zone once again. It was C-Watts who had a 3-piece the last time on the flank. Can he do it once again? Checks the right corner, looks back to the vault. First gunfight doesn't go his way. Second tick of progress, very close to being captured. Bodies continuing to stack. Cootie with 84 HP, pushed to the left-hand side, but it's KB who trades for 1. They know Phantoms is in front, but it's another kill that goes the way of the Fisher Falcons on their way to sending this to a map 4, locking it down. Gunfight's won. It's the tick of progress that caps it all good. B zone completed, 3-2 defensive win, and we will see a Skyline hard point for map 4.
St. Clair, they had the opportunity to put it away, but Fisher in those last 2 rounds just look a little too clean. They're able to secure the A point. They're able to immediately flood on over to B, and it's just basically they win all the gunfights they need to there, Corn. That's what you're kind of looking at from a roster like this. Dylan Rex going absolutely huge, 31 and 26 for the young man there. It was looking dicey, dude. I thought St. Clair were about to take this one in, be a 3-0, have a little bit of smack talk on the line, but I'm wondering, do you let a little doubt seep in now? Because you just watched Fisher come back on a reverse sweep in their last series, and you go, wait, we can't let this happen again.
No, and there's got to be something in the air for Falcons right now, because I think the Falcons just finally won their first series in the CDL as they take down Optic Texas, and how poetic that is. 127 days is how long it took them to win their series, and Exit finally wins his first. Congratulations to the Falcons, by the way, both regards for the Falcons to keep this series alive here in the CCL, as well as the Falcons winning in the CDL. That's something that is going to transcend multi-level all of Call of Duty, because that is that's an important win for a team that lost, what was it, 29 straight series, something like that, or we're getting close to it. So yeah, anyways, we'll leave that, to that, but I had to bring that up because Falcons and Falcons, it just made too much sense not to talk about it. But Skyline Hardpoint coming up next here. The St. Clair Saints, I don't have a problem with them after that control. All those rounds were very close, much different than what we saw in that reverse sweep attempt against Oklahoma Christian for Fisher. So I think this Skyline Hardpoint could be more of the same that we saw in those first 2 maps, or it could be very much like we saw in map 3 there. Regardless, I don't think Fisher are going to go away quietly, but I don't think St. Clair are going to let this opportunity slip away all so easy either.
No, I think it's when you look at a map like Vault, we were kind of talking about it, it's kind of a bang-out, right? Well, Skyline, if there's a map that's more of a bang-out than Vault, it's Skyline, right? Fisher obviously showing that they are just feeling really good about their shots coming on in, but I do think a little bit back to that red card hard point and basically St. Clair's ability to keep Fisher off the point. It was realistically only one sort of rotation where they're able to get 45 points on the board, break out a little bit of a lead, and then just from right there, so just eke like 5 or 10 points on every point there in Skyline. It's a map that you can kind of do something a little similar on, where you know those spawns and you're able to kind of make those reads, cut them down as they're just trying to be able to get any sort of progress on the map. You can just do a great job of, even if you're not in hill, well, you're keeping your opponent off the hill. And at the end of the day, that's all you need to be, is have that lead, bring them on down. And when that timer ticks to 0, be the team on top. So I think St. Clair, after maybe a little bit of a shake there in the control, they're still coming into this hard point feeling pretty solid.
Yeah, I asked, for that control, like, do we have an answer to Cootie? And if her search and destroy was the same thing, do we have an answer for some of these players? I should have been asking the question, do we have an answer for C-Wads? Because he's been the most consistent player throughout this series through and through. And there's a reason that, maybe he wasn't playing necessarily on that Cabal roster at first. He was playing with, former CDL player Fame. He was playing with Mock, Millie, all those guys. And so, like, when you have that roster from the 6F Carolina side of things that he was originally playing with, then you go and you translate that into something different. Now playing with Cabal, all of a sudden that team completely levels up. And here inside of the CCL, it's the same thing. It's the reason they've been able to play series close the entire year. Nothing to take away from the rest of the guys on St. Clair, but C-Wads is a two-dimensional, almost three-dimensional dynamic player. And the level that he plays at consistently is very, very impressive. So going into this Skyline hardpoint, you have to look to a player like him to control the map yet again, whether that's breaks throughout the middle of the map, being able to aggress into the bottom side of gym, whether that's dominating the kitchen with an SMG, although you don't necessarily see that often, especially with those ARs being the ones who try to take those fights there. Using that kitchen, being able to duck into the bottom side of closet, play through the bedroom, just get scrappy with this Fisher roster. You let him get behind you, you let him get 1 or 2, it could be the difference maker for this hard point. So again, don't expect St. Clair to just kind of bend over, even though Fisher just came back off a reverse sweep. I don't necessarily expect that to happen.
No, it's going to be tough. And I think that's the thing you have to realize if you are Fisher is that, like, yeah, okay, you just did this against Oklahoma Christian not too long ago. You're now coming in against St. Clair. You're having a little bit of that deja vu. You say, hey, boys, we just did this. Let's do it again. We know it's possible. We have this faith. We have this belief in ourselves. But you just have to understand, like, you really have to play the rest of these maps straight perfectly. Thankfully, it starts here, in the hard point where you're able to kind of even up the series, go to that search and destroy, and be able to bring it on home. Because a reminder, this final search and destroy is a rewind. So, it kind of be very interesting to see how both of these teams feel on that map once we get there. That's only if we get there, right? So you have to get through this Skyline hard point first. You can only take it 1 point at a time and really make sure you're going to play this map on a fundamental level. It gets mixy. There's going to be times where you're losing players. That's okay, right? You know how to play this map. These are just 8 fantastic players that are dropping on in here. And I feel like this is going to be really kind of comes on down of who understands how to play and manipulate Skyline the best, because that's what we're coming on down to at the final moments.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are very few teams that don't understand how this Skyline is going to play, and these two teams are no stranger to playing this. I've seen them through the Dallas Open, even in the Elites. These guys are, I mean, it's a Skyline hardpoint. It's as bog standard as you get here in Black Ops 6. Whether it's one that starts out a series, whether it's one at the end of the series where you have to bring it back on, it's going to play close pretty much every single time, just like most of the maps are inside of Black Ops 6. But there is the off chance that you get caught off guard early, and you see what we saw with Northwood against I can't remember exactly who it was, but it was 4 down, and it was like, okay, this is cool. Then it was another 4 down, then it was another 4 down, and then it was like, okay, this is getting a little bit silly because now we have full P2 control. Then the game got close again, all of a sudden, out of nowhere. The game got close, and then it was just another 4 dead every time. So then that Northwood, I think it was Buckeye COD that they were playing against. I don't remember 100% on that. Memories foggy. Watched a lot of college COD the last few days, and a lot of teams are playing a lot of different people, especially with this regional playoffs going back to back, the CCL playoffs or whatever. Give me a break, I promise. But 2-1 up, St. Clair. Fisher looking for the reverse sweep again. If you're just joining us here, maybe you're watching the CDL beforehand. Whoever wins this series, they're going to LAN.
Going to LAN in Texas, San Antonio, Texas.
Charles Barkley hates it.
Charles Barkley does hate it.
He likes the city. He doesn't like something within the city.
Well, maybe let's get him down to watch some COD. Maybe we'll get him on a desk or something, and we'll see what's going on there. But Skyline hardpoint. I mean, St. Clair Saints, they've been doing good. I feel like that control, right, goes all the way to around 5, comes down to the final moments there. It just feels like there was like maybe 20 seconds on the map where Fisher just really lighted on up, and that lets them secure the point. So can't really let that one get you too much, but it's going to be Dark Side with a 2-piece to kick us off already onto the P1. To make that the first 3 going to the young man, and he is looking to continue that spree. Aims in hand, looking towards kitchen.
4 dead off rip. That's everything you want and more if you are the Fisher Falcons. With Darkside continuing to hold down time here, if you can pop up with the AR, maybe find 2 or 3, although you only have 7 HP left to your name. very quickly, you will find yourself racking up some score, and a Hellstorm missile definitely not off the cards here just yet. Another kill goes his way, continuing to lay down inside of the point. KB looking to push across the top side of Cat, but the ARs making the full difference here for the Fisher Falcons early on. They have locked down P2 in a plethora of time.
Yeah, Rupert thankfully does find Darkside, so no early streak off this first sort of rotation at all. But Fisher, at least you do a great job of being able to get some early time on that P1. It's going to be St. Clair with the spawns here for P2, but the problem with that is that the rest of your team is just getting cut on down. And I love this. Dylan Rex, he backs on up, throws a little bit of a shoulder. You see players moving around on this bottom side, hold this back stairs area. But Seawad, yet again, was the player to watch for both of us. And, well, there's reasons like that, as it's a two-piece into a third to literally gift your team this P2.
And that was the right play by Fisher there, just to back off. Try to hold the spawns as much as you can, and then sacrifice, you know, a little bit of that initial time to get a full setup for a scrap and, or excuse me, for a money hold on the hill. So I like the play from them. Problem is, again, Seawatch just completely shuts down that effort, and once again just busts directly through the front door, turns back around, introduces himself to Phantoms, who will hop back up the rope with 15 seconds left. Scraps go to St. Clair. About a dead even game to go to P3.
That's what you kind of love to see. Obviously, P2, you're able to get yourself back on in. Cootie's good for 2. Make that almost 3. Seawalds will get the final sort of damage there, as you are now just kind of trying to lay in the hill here. You find Brack on the trade as Cootie, just with Jack PDW in hand, trying to whip it side to side. As Darkside will at least be able to find 2 before getting found on out. So Fisher, they answer on back here, even this one up pretty beautifully. They're going to hold some of these spawns on this side for this P4, and that's really what we need to look for right now, is making sure that nobody from St. Clair is able to push on forward, flip this map, and then be there once P4 pops.
And that's exactly what Phantoms was doing. He just played the deep side of the hedges in case anybody started to peek out towards the left or the right side of entertainment. And not only does that allow them the fortune of being able to hold those P4 spawns down, but it also gives them the angle to spawn close and challenge P3 immediately. So they get good time off of it. Now you have Brack watching for the contestation cross over by P1. Here's the problem with that. You put those bodies back and they die immediately, and now spawns are flipped again in the favor of St. Clair.
Yeah, that's exactly what you don't want to happen if you are Fisher. But you can see everybody is moving as a unit through the middle of the map right now, through this top side. Phantom's going to be here to try and push on forward. Maybe not realizing there's 2 players there. You get the stun check, but it's from the other side. You get taken on down. Rupert now clearing out this top side. So you lose the spawns. You lose some of those kills on rotation. And Fisher now a little bit playing on the back foot. Normally this P4 is pretty mixy, but so far St. Clair, they've just been able to kind of sit in this hill, start super soaking it, but it's finally some moves through bedroom that will get them here. I don't know if they make this realization though that Cootie's here in the back. They don't. KB, it's there. St. Clair managed to hold the trades, and they're going to start being able to convert this into some good time.
Yeah, KB almost got mollywopped on a turn on. However, he'll stay alive. Doesn't spot Brack up to the top side of P2, but it was Phantoms watching from the kitchen cross, and now they can kind of push this directly through the front. But they're just going to hold the line here. They're going to allow St. Clair to get this back 10, no matter to them. If they can set up on P1 here, make sure their ARs are in power positions. If they can cut off the kitchen more importantly than anything else, that should be enough. Brack cuts down Cootie, and really, there's just not a lot of space here for St. Clair. Great snap by Brack.
Snap, crackle, pop as you jump off the top side connector. So Brack now doing a great job sitting in hill, soaking up some of this time. Looking at this mini map, and you kind of wonder, what is the plan for St. Clair here? They're very, very split. Looks like it is going to be KB who tries to make some sort of play, but gets found on out. Darkside will be able to bring down 2, picks up another aims in hand as Fisher here on the P1. They're doing such a great job, Corn, of being able to get a lot of time on this P1. A lot of times teams don't. If you're able to do this, it helps get you back onto the game. You're feeling very, very good right now if you are Fisher.
4 spread, 4 wipe. What a hold on P1. Very few teams are able to actually commit to a full hold on P1 the way that Fisher were able to do just now. And Darkside somehow stays alive with Dylan Rex being able up on the top. Not sure how that was not a kill. That was about 18 bullets that hit him. He is eating good tonight here, folks.
Getting absolutely joked out of the shoes. Maybe not feeling super good about that one. Fisher showing some signs of life here. They've been able to convert on over to the P2. They'll bring the lead back on into their favor. Seawads on this last rotation made P2 his home. Looking to potentially do the same here. You find a nice early one. Rest of the teammates kind of surge out through the back. You got to be able to find Phantoms who's trying to hold these spawns. You do. So you're not going to get a good idea that it's going to be Fisher having to bang on out through the front. This is going to be a very close game, ladies and gentlemen. We know that for sure. St. Clair, after losing a lot of time on that P1, says they're not too worried about it. We're going to come back on into this game, into the P2.
I mean, you just look for C1's up top. It's been him every time. And you're going to get the read if you are KB on the back end. And this will allow C-Watts to push out, gets the second one for his troubles. 5 seconds left on the rotation over to P3, and it's going to be a 2v2 directly through the front. Where will the challenge come from? Rupert checks left, checks two, gets both of them.
Great plays from Rupert to open up the P3. Dylan just having to spend so much time on this kill here. Slides on out. Just really just trying to get this HP regen there. Make this read. Thankfully, the teammates will cut down some of these players in the mid here. Slides on out. Brings down Cootie. Dylan Rex, slowly but surely, checking the corners, trying to make his way towards this backside. But if you are the St. Clair Saints, you're still getting time on the board. You're still holding spawns right now for this P4. So while Yats has been some great kills from Fisher, unfortunately in Skyline, sometimes that doesn't even matter. It's about the teams who can get the kills and then be able to convert that onto the point.
Oh, Dark Side, he took a route across top cat, and they weren't expecting it. And this is going to flip everything out once again. So what St. Clair had worked for them the last time, where they were the ones who weren't on this good side, they flip it out, they spawn close. It's Fisher this time who are going to be there, but there's 3 bodies from St. Clair looking to push their way forward. Inside of the point, KB there. Dylan, back over towards the left-hand side. Only 1 body remaining from the Saints here. It's going to be a double challenge into the point. C-Watts finds 1, but that's all it is.
3 players now making their way through bedroom. A little bit of a wait here as you all kind of do-si-do together. It's going to be Dark Side on the point. I don't know if you got any trophies nearby, but Rupert falls off the side and gets a team kill onto KB. Not exactly the break you were hoping for. Thankfully for you, Cootie has a gun that is hotter than the sun, as he is going to be able to help break this point on open and go for another 2-piece. Absolutely bailing the squad out of a terrible situation.
Yeah, that's the best way you could put that, possibly. That was an absolute bailout to the front door. I was just slouched over, hands on face, beseeched at what I had seen. But look, all good, because St. Clair still confirmed control. 30 seconds the advantage right now. Might as well add a few extra seconds of scrap time on it. But hey, guess what? Set back up a middle map. It's the home that Fisher love for themselves. Right below the jacuzzi, they've got themselves B1.
I think you could do a little bit what you did on that red card. Hard point right now, if you are the St. Clair Saints, you've gained a little bit of a lead here. Now just really focus on ripping these players off the P1 if you can. Just make sure they're not able to get some of this time, because you know that this is a hill that they really prioritize. They're doing a great job here in C-Wads. A little bit of a shimmy, a little bit of a shake. Able to bring down Phantoms on that top side. Gets a little bit too aggressive though. Will get found on out as Brack still playing on this other side, but thankfully you have Cootie who's still able to come alive and be here. But off this P1 corn, Fisher, they're able to get themselves back on into this game. They're still only about 13 points behind.
I gotta respect C-Watts, bro. He is just trying to find his way to the point every time. He is a hungry hillhopper right now. He's got 1:38 in it. He had like 10 HP to his name, and he's like, dude, I'm still gonna chow P1 here, even though I have no idea where Fisher is. Does the exact same thing, gets in, breaks it early, and still allows St. Clair to have just a slight lead. 5 seconds the difference into the front. It's Rupert who finds 2. Cootie there. They're shutting him down to the front. St. Clair, plenty of time. Maybe fancy themselves a win here.
Yeah, Dylan Rex at least finds 1, but it doesn't matter because you're immediately cut on down. Fisher, they will spawn on out. They were trying to fight for this P2 side, but yet again, it's just not enough. So while they are able to hold P1, they lose P2, and this is what's happened on these last couple of rotations. St. Clair still getting some of these spawns. Can they get their way back to the point? Looks like maybe. I mean, you are just absolutely putting so much pressure on this Fisher Esports team right now. If you are St. Clair, you're holding it on down here. You might be able to end it on this P2.
No more contestants really coming through from Fisher right now. Stuck in the corner. Dylan is there. Cootie's playing the kitchen. Can you snap around back? It's from the white staircase. Is the timing good? You find KB inside and you hold it white. So now with 7 seconds left, they hop on it just at the end. It needs to be a push. They might get the final tick here. St. Clair, 3 seconds away. The contestant comes through, but it's a rotation over to New. Player 7. He's the first one there. Brack wins the gunfights. Fisher staying alive inside of this hard point.
Fisher's got to play perfect from here on out, though. It's only 2 seconds you need if you are the St. Clair Saints. You have to win these gunfights. You have to hold the line. Brack is going to be the player to try and do it. It's a Jackal PDW in hand. It is just everything going your way, but KB has a huge 2-piece. The shots are onto the Phantoms, but Fisher, they are not letting you take this P3 right now, but the spawns, they flip out. It's Cootie from the back. You surge it on in. St. Clair, after dropping a control, well, you answer it back with a haymaker in the hard point.
One-way ticket to San Antonio. St. Clair, first team qualified for LAN.
Love to see it.
Maybe didn't think that was going to be the potential outcome, but after the first map, we were sitting there thinking, okay, you know what? Hey, St. Clair, they're kind of jamming right now. Let's see what happens on the Search and Destroy. They play a dealership. St. Clair go down 0-2. You're like, all right, well, this isn't really the typical grift diff that I've seen. All of a sudden, to flip back, you win 6 straight rounds. It's like, okay, we are shooting now. Map 3, very close. Every round went down to, you know, either a 1v1 or just very close on the time. Very, very close played series through and through. Fisher, an attempt on the comeback there at the end. But what is it again? What do we see as the trend on the map here every single time? Look at the first one. Maybe they didn't get a ton of time on it, but they went from 8 to 36 on the P1 to P2 rotation. They got the P2 time there. Let's take a look at the next one. P1 to P2, 40 seconds. P1 to P2, all the way on the last one, another 45 seconds. St. Clair lived, breathed, and executed every time on that P2 hill, and were able to get some good P4 time for themselves every time as well. Sure, Fisher were able to circumvent that with the P1 for themselves, but again, over and over and over again, we saw St. Clair's ability to break hills consistently, and when Fisher weren't able to have those ARs watching power positions throughout middle map, Seawads and Cootie were making them pay every single time.
Yeah, just all cylinders firing right now for St. Clair. They understood what they had to do, and I really like it. It's almost like a little bit of a respect. You say, Fisher, you want to try and hold P1? Sure. We're going to do our best to be able to kind of rip you off because we don't want to give you time for free, but we're also not going to try and like over prioritize for it because we understand P2 is where we are getting a lot of our time, and also on that P4 as well, right? Coming on into the back. So I think St. Clair, they knew what hills they really wanted to prioritize. They let Fisher take their space where they wanted to, but then they used that to their advantage because it felt like where Fisher wanted to really come alive, St. Clair, they didn't super care about it. They just kind of make it a little bit mixy, but then they really make sure on those money hills they're able to gain a lot of time. They just sit there, they soak, and they keep Fisher on the back foot, not really allowing them to take any space on the map.
One more time, I'll say it for all those beautiful people from St. Clair. It's a grift diff, baby. Come on now. Come on now. Beautiful game played by the St. Clair Saints. The Cabal roster and challengers. This is getting good. They're getting hot together.
Gross.
I'm really liking this from the St. Clair roster. I mean, you look at KB, Seawads, Cootie, and Rupert, you think, all right, you know, last few years, they've been slowly getting better and better. Now, all of them playing together from the St. Clair roster. Give me some more. And we're going to get some more. We're going to see these babies in lamb, baby. Come on now. I'm excited. I don't know why I just got so excited for that, but look, I love CCL to an extent that is probably unhealthy. And that's why we're here right now, because we're vibing. We're having a good time. Fisher knocked off. Upset alert, maybe, perhaps, sure, whatever you want to call it. We asked the question coming into the series, what's the difference with Darkside for this Fisher roster? Does St. Clair have enough to take them out? You know, they lost one when they were playing against Bull Cut Matt. They won one while they were playing against Bull Cut Matt, but they never played against Darkside. Now they have, and they've won it. I'm sure this Fisher squad will be on LAN with them. Will they be able to do it again? Oklahoma Christian, probably going to be there as well. Lots of teams in that lower bracket that are going to be fighting. They're going to be hungry, and now Fisher joins Oklahoma Christian down there. Maybe that's a rematch for a LAN spot.
I mean, that would be huge. I was just kind of looking at that lower side bracket, you know, to see who is Fisher now that they lose this, who are they going to have to go up against. They have an opportunity to get some revenge for their sister squad of the Fisher Falcons, Fisher Esports here. They're going to be facing the winner of Buckeye Cod in Marshall University. So if Buckeye Cod come on out in that one, well, hey, maybe if one Fisher squad couldn't do it, maybe you rely on this one here to make it on happen. A fantastic, you know, series, but it's also just been a great day of COD all around there, dude. I totally agree with you. CCL, it's always just like a fun time. I think it's because you're seeing these players really come on in. They love representing the school. I love seeing all the hype in the chat when St. Clair is able to hold that one on out. Obviously some fans here. It's just really, really fun to kind of see CCL really ramp on up into this one final LAN at the year to see who is going to be our best squad.
Well, there can only be one champion inside of the CCL this season. We have had a long and grueling year thus far in the 2025 season. Black Ops 6 has been very kind to us. We've had a lot of very fun series inside of our CCL season thus far. We've got another best of 5 series, and the last one here on our Saturday slate of matches coming up next. It is a fight for another qualification spot on LAN, and guess who? Mars Hill, Northwood. 2 more teams trying to add to that talented roster, one of which will be joining the lower bracket, one of which will be joining St. Clair at LAN. Find out who it is when we come back.